welcome everyone to our NFL preview for the week with Jacob from Trypod. Jacob, how are you?
Going well, thanks, mate.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, we'll get straight into it. I will share my screen in a second, but how's the NFL action been in the last week or so, Jacob?
Yeah, it's getting really exciting. There's about a month to go, regular season. So it's really the playoff push and everyone jockeying for either a spot in the playoffs or, a higher seed and to win divisions. And the race that I love taking an interest in is MVP. And it feels to me nearly a race in two. And thankfully, Dak Prescott, who I suggested 3 weeks ago at $21, is the favorite now at 250. I'd say it's between him and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's leading this Niners side that looks just about unbeatable and has an easier run home. I shouldn't completely write off the rest. I'd say a smoky would be Lamar Jackson with Baltimore. I could see Baltimore getting the 1 seed in the AFC, but that's very exciting because every one of these games involving Dallas, San Francisco, Baltimore are huge in terms of who gets the coveted bye. In the NRL, how valuable being top 4 is, but then, if you win, you get that bye in the finals.
Yep.
There's a similarity in NFL. In this case, it's just one team from each conference gets a bye in the first week and home field assured through to the Super Bowl if they get that far. So it's massive. It's important. So it keeps the best sides motivated, and it's going to be a hotly contested race for the final month.
Awesome. Okay. Well, as much as I'm trying my best to try to keep up to date with the NFL and obviously the NBA, mainly with the pod that we're doing, there's also BBL action going on. We always say, Google Wiki Linktree, the podcast that we're doing now. If you just Google Wiki Linktree, that'll all be there, as well as our NFL and NBA odds comparison tools and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're trying to do. And obviously Tripod punters tips forum, the Facebook group for obviously Jacob's stuff, which is it's actually a really nice time of year. Obviously, it's like you go into the holiday season. If you are having a punt, obviously please gamble responsibly. But the group just has like so many different types of tips to tip in all like a bunch of different sports. So if you are looking to have a punt, it's a good place to be to get a whole bunch of different tips, and always sort of looking for value. But all right, let's get straight into it, Jacob. I'll share my screen. You want to give us your thoughts on the game, which is Friday morning Aussie time?
Yep. So this is another one of these games where it makes us thankful for being able to bet as well as fantasy, because otherwise there'd be barely any reason to watch this. We've got 2 5-8 AFC West teams. They've both got backup quarterbacks as well. And I think I said a week ago we had Steelers, Pats, and there may not be a single touchdown. Well, of course, the Pats, who did nothing for 3 weeks, marched straight down the field, scored a touchdown, scored 3. The Steelers scored 2. So there were 5 touchdowns in that game. But how about the Raiders game last week? This was crazy. So I only watched the highlights, thankfully, but it was 0-0 for 57 minutes in the Raiders game last week. And you can't blame bad weather or any conditions. It was played indoors in a dome. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Nakul, but they were promoting the NRL trip to Vegas. So they had ambassadors, the 4 NRL players went over there. It was kind of cringe, kind of embarrassing. At halftime, the commentators were talking about how they were throwing a rugby around, and they they interviewed the players. They showed some highlights clips, and it's like Aaron Woods slowing down into a tackle, Campbell Graham scoring like a try untouched, as if that's meant to get the crowd interested. But I felt a bit bad for these players. Who else was over there? Billy Walters, Spencer Leniu. They got to go to this game, and it was the worst game you could imagine. It was 3-0, and I hate to be a Raiders fan. Not only was it 3-0, but they lost the home side. So that's pretty grim. And you're playing a Chargers side that just won 6-0 a couple of weeks ago in a touchdown-less game too. And that was with their star quarterback, who's now not playing. So where does that leave us? Look, if I see a meaningless game, I will lean generally to the home team. I think Vegas owe it to their supporters. I know the injuries are mounting up for the Raiders, but I look at the Chargers, they're an absolute mess. The coach is a dead man walking. This is a short week, a Thursday game. I think that's the only reason Staley hasn't already been fired. I think it's a situation where the coach is removed whether they win or lose. So I could not touch the Chargers here. I'm going for a Raiders, and therefore I'm going to look for a Raider to score a TD for us. Now, I don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to play. If we find Josh Jacobs there, for example, anytime touchdown, someone's got him at $6. See, that's kind of insane. Like, that's an insane price, but that is suggesting he's highly unlikely not to play. Although I would
It's
probably
void.
have a go at that. Yeah, and it
Mm,
could void. The issue is if he was just to play a couple of snaps, and that's where they can get you. Is he's been limited at practice this week. I don't think he's practiced yet. If he was to be active but not get the lion's share, so that's very interesting. First TD again, it's kind of long shot. So maybe you play Josh Jacobs' first TD
yeah.
just at $21 there. But I'm kind of looking at it like his backups, Amir Abdullah, Zamir White, they're like shorter odds. So the bookies are well aware that the backups are going to get more opportunities this week. So you can't take the backup player and get a juicy price because the bookies are onto you. So I'm just steering away from the backfield. I'm not going to take a running back. I want to take a wide receiver. The obvious choice would be Devontae Adams. You see there about $3 anytime. I just haven't been a fan of him this year. I've loved him in the past. Thought he's just about the best wide receiver in the league. Just doesn't seem to be as energized this year. So I'm going to go super long shot. So if you go to first touchdown scorer, I
Yep.
am going to have a crack at Hunter Renfro at $31
Ooh.
for first TD. I see on the odds comparison tool. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. He hasn't scored a touchdown this season. So that's in 11 games, no touchdowns. But 25 catches this year and 12 of them in the last 3 games. So it does seem to me his opportunities are trending up and the QB is looking for him. And I think at $31, there is a chance O'Connell could find him. And so I think it's a super long shot, but I think it has a chance to hit for us there for the
I love
first
it.
TD with Hunter Renfro.
Cool. I might just quickly have a look at market value because I think you mentioned that you're expecting this game to potentially be low scoring as well. Is that right, Jacob? Or
Yeah,
are you
but
saying,
and I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, for sure. I could pull up like the total because no doubt the total will be another one of the lowest we've seen all year.
Yeah, I know with NRL games, if I'm expecting a lower scoring game, I'm always looking at the first try scorer instead of the anytime. So I'll just pull these
Absolutely.
up and
Yep.
see if any of these ones in green, if any of
So
these guys stick out at all.
that's great that the odds comparison tool's flagging there because I would have said Josh Jacobs is injured. You don't want to play him. So like you're looking at like Ned's Sportsbet have got him around $6 for first TD. So that's terrible odds because
Yep.
that's like assuming he's fully healthy, which he's not. But then the other end of the spectrum, if you can get $21 about him and it could be void if he doesn't play. It could be worth a shot. Now you could get stitched up, as I said before, where he's there, just takes 1 or 2 token carries. But for those long odds, that's obviously the market value tool telling you that he's 3.5 times the price, one bookie to the next. That could be worth a shot there.
Awesome. Anyone else stand out in this sort of crazy section of
Have a
the
look at first touchdown. Oh, that is first
that
touchdown.
is first touchdown, yeah.
Um, I think one of those prices that I saw earlier has moved. Oh, no, I know what's happened. A couple extra bookies have come up on the board, and so
Right,
the
right.
market value's totally changed. But Aiden O'Connell, $67 for first TD. This is the quarterback. So this is like a guy who doesn't carry the ball often, but you get close, so you get like a QB sneak scenario. Um, that the market value is not screaming out because one bookie's got 61, one's got 67, but you can see a couple of others 41, 25. So you can see that just purely on a comparison, it's a decent price there.
No, awesome. Okay. Well, it's been really fun sort of getting a bit deeper into the conversation and how to find value in touchdown markets. I'm not sure if it's is it relatively popular on the Tripod group in terms of other people looking at touchdown markets in the
You
NFL,
know,
or is it pretty niche?
people like same game multi. So I think the trick
Ah,
is
right.
people are looking for an any timer to feed into the same game multi for sure.
Mm,
So I've probably more so said, well, if I can find players who are value to score the first touchdown, then they could also represent value anytime. But particularly a couple of these Thursday nighters that we've previewed, that like the total for this one's 34.
yeah.
I'm not playing anytime touchdowns in games that, there might not be 30 points combined. So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean others can't, but that's how I've been looking at it.
That's totally fair. I think like I kind of started to get the sense in the second half of the NRL season when everyone's looking to put wingers into their same game multi, for example, and I'm finding like a bench forward that I love at 41s or 51s. I'd much rather be getting on the bench forward at at higher odds than your like three backs multi to 8-1 or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah,
So
and I'll be honest with you too, other people are different and they will make a same game multi that's whatever 31-1, and like you said, it might need 8 different things to happen, and I actually find it hard to sit through a game with so many different potentially conflicting interests that you need. Like, I need this team to cover this line, but I still need that player to score or whatever. Find it hard sometimes, and you just know something will go wrong. Whereas if you just pick
mm,
one leg, $31, the chance of happening is not high, but at
mm.
least it's easy to kind of follow along. So if you've got to play a first touchdown, and if you're not getting ripped off on the price, then I think it's a pretty fun way to kick off the game.
Yeah, and I think like a social punting way to do it potentially could be like if you see Jacob putting out a tip on here, or if you see, you like a player in the team, or one of your mates tips someone up, you sort of put that player in with maybe that team to win. Or if you think that, this person's from a bit of a crap team, you might put that player anytime touchdown scorer with the other team to win the game. Like you want to kind of limit the amount of legs because I don't want to go off on that whole tangent again. But basically, the more legs you add, usually you're ruining the odds for yourself. So if you get down to 6, 7, 10, 10 legs in your multi, it's just making it more and more and more worse for yourself. But yeah.
I mean,
Anyways,
to pull back the curtain even further, yeah, I think as a rule of thumb, the more legs you're putting in, the more opportunities there is for the bookie to rip you off with the price. This,
definitely.
I don't know if this is too convoluted or if others do this as well, but I will literally be computing in my head what the implied odds are of every leg that I add. So if I take a player to score and then I add a team to win, I see what those odds go for. So if the odds are a player to scores $3 and then you add a team to win, it goes to 5. In my mind, I'm saying, okay, they're giving me implied odds of $1.60 for that team to win. Now, is that fair? What is that team just purely head to head? Okay, but I understand it might be correlated if that guy plays on that team, and if he scores, more likely they win. But you got to do that calculation because every now and then you'll put a leg in, and the amount that it magnifies the odds will not be representative of the likelihood of that leg winning. And if you don't notice, just because you went tap, tap, tap these different legs, then you're just going to get ripped off and you'll be none the wiser. But long term, it's
Mm.
impossible to be winning if you're going to put in legs where you're going to say halve your chance of winning, but it doesn't double your odds. That's not
Yep.
going to work.
No, I love that. Awesome. Okay, cool. Again, guys, Google Wiki Linktree. You'll find this pod, the odds and comparison tool that you're looking at, and everything else from Wiki on there, and Tripod, Punters Tips Forum for everything on Tripod. We'll catch you soon.